Okay.
We are going to be ranking our top 5 favorite current 49er players. And then we will be ranking our top 5 favorite current Raider players. Um, I'm going to go first, but I'm going to say no.
Should I? I think I should go first
Yeah.
because
You
I
go
think your
first.
opinion. I think your opinion probably matters more for the Niners. Mine, I guess, matters more for the Raiders.
Well,
For lack of a better
not that
term.
it matters more. I mean,
You know what I
to
mean?
each their own opinion,
Yeah.
but it's more of like uh, it's more special to me because it's the team that I root for.
Yeah.
You know, um, but you say your fifth, then I'll say my fifth. You say your fourth, I'll say my fourth, and then like we'll give our reasoning for what we pick. Um, and
Do you
yeah,
have? Okay. Yeah. I'll for sure go ahead. I was just gonna ask. Do you have any honorable mentions? Anybody that just didn't make the cut that you're like, oh man, like wish I could talk about them.
I'll say after
Okay. I'll save mine for
because
after too then.
yeah, because if you give honorable mentions
Spoils.
right now, yeah, it's going to spoil
Yeah.
who's probably in your.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
So number 5 for me is Brock Purdy. And I think it's partially because I was at the Miami Dolphins game that Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt at,
Mhm.
and this Brock Purdy guy comes in, and I'm sitting there thinking like, dude, this is kind of sad, kind of hilarious because I felt the entire crowd's expectations just plummet in the moment that
Yeah.
Garoppolo got hurt. That you
Well, there
guys went
goes
from
the
like, oh,
season.
we have the best defense in football, and our offense is clicking. To, uh, what number is this guy? Brock Purdy. I've never heard of him. You know, and then he goes out there and he fucking slings it, and you guys
He
beat the
tore it up.
Dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, who the fuck is this dude? And then I go to the game the next week. I'm pretty sure it was the next week. His first ever start against the Buccaneers. I wanted to go to the Buccaneers game because it was I expected it to be Tom Brady's last game in the Bay Area. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and he tore it up even more.
Yeah.
Fucking dismantles the Buccaneers defense just a year or two off of dismantling the Chiefs offense in the Super Bowl. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, again, who the fuck is this dude? And he does it all season. He's got balls of steel, and I'm rooting for him. You know.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, I just want to say when you were talking about the Miami Dolphins game, so you got the perspective of the fans in the stadium, like, oh, who the fuck is this kid? I got the perspective, obviously I was watching at home. I got the 49er Twitter perspective, and it was fucking nuts, dude. Like, I was watching the game, and then, like, obviously I didn't have high expectations for Brock Purdy. Yeah, dude. It was hella funny because like everybody was kind of like, well, let's see how this goes, and then it's like, you know, oh, kind of like everybody's kind of joking like, oh, he's the franchise quarterback, and then it was like, dude,
He's pretty
and
fucking
then it
good.
didn't fucking stop, dude. It didn't
Yeah.
stop there. Like he was just tearing it up, dude. I think
Yeah.
Brock Purdy's a good pick for your number 5.
So
Yeah,
who's your number 5?
my number 5. I mean, this was really hard for me. Like, there were players that I could, put on the top 5. There was a person I had to slide out of it. I guess I'll mention it later. My number 5 player is my 5th favorite on this current team is Fred Warner, middle linebacker, BYU. But I mean, I just love that, he's the quarterback of the defense. I love that he hits hard. I mean, he's got a high football IQ. He's just all over the fucking field. He's like awesome to watch. Um, and he's probably one of the more versatile middle linebackers that I've ever seen play the game. Like, and I watched a lot of Patrick Willis, and I watched a lot of Navarro Bowman. And I'm not saying that Warner is better than any of those two players, but like, Warner right now, as compared to the rest of the NFL, I think Warner's probably the best middle linebacker in football. And I think that, I mean, he's just awesome. Like, he's just awesome to watch on the field. So that's why I pick him. Like,
Yeah.
he's great.
I wish the Raiders had Fred Warner on their team because he would probably be one of my top 5 favorite Raiders, But as a Niner, I'm not crazy about him. You know why, but I'm not going to go into it at all.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a good pick. He is the best linebacker in football. I can say that. I have my thoughts on him, but he is the best linebacker in football.
Like, I'm not picking him like for his personality or anything. Like, he's just like really fun to watch. And I mean, it's just kind of one of those players where I'm like, well, I'm glad he's on my team.
Yeah. No, that's the thing is, like, we're going to have different perspectives on these players because I'm from the outside looking and you're from the inside kind of looking out, essentially.
Yes.
Probably not the best wordology, but, wordology is not a word, but I just wanted to say it.
It is now.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm ready to talk about my number 4 player for the Niners.
Go with your number 4. Let's keep it rolling. High energy. Boom, 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 boom. No.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
My number 4 player is Mike McGlinchey. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's Deebo Samuel.
It's a pretty good pick, man.
I think if this were the offseason coming out of 2021, he might be my number 1. But after last season, he didn't play the same. And not that it's like his fault. It's more of like, I feel that the game plan changed for him, and probably a similar thing that I was talking about with Jacobs when he gets re-signed is once they get signed and they have that bag secured, it's like, well, I don't want to get hurt. I need to protect myself. And maybe the team says that too, is we need to protect our assets. So we can't have him going out there throwing his body around,
Mm-hmm.
But for the player that I know he is and what he can do, maybe he should be higher on this list, but I feel pretty good about these other 3 guys.
Remind me at the end. I have something that I want to say about what you said.
Mm-hmm. Also, one last thing about Deebo. It's fucking hilarious when he comes out of the tunnel with Trent Williams. And it's Deebo with the boombox, right?
No, or is it Trent Williams? No, it's one of the assistant coaches. I forgot their name.
Still though, it's always Deebo in the front, and I just think that shit's cool. So.
I love when Deebo and Trent Williams lead the way through the tunnel. I think that's awesome. But yeah, remind me at the end to tell you. I guess I want to talk about what you said. My number 4 is Christian McCaffrey, and there's other players that I could have put, and even right now, I'm like, man, did I am I making a mistake putting these players on my list? It's just my top 5 favorite right now. So, and I want to also say these are just my favorites right now. They're subject to change, So my favorites next year might not be the same as my favorites this year. And like last year, McCaffrey wasn't even on the team. So it might be crazy that he's one of my favorite players now. But, I mean, he's just so fun to watch. He's incredibly gifted. I love that he's not taking training camp or, OTAs off like some players might. So I love that aspect where he's like leading by example. He's a player. If I had to pick a college team that I like, I would probably pick Stanford. Mm-hmm. And so I knew about McCaffrey coming out of Stanford, like, um, and he was great there, and it transferred to the NFL, and he's like, one of the more dominant running backs. Like, I mean, he's not like a bulldozer or anything, but he's so shifty and so versatile, and so he's new to the team, but I love the impact that he's had. And another thing I really like about him is that he's incredibly professional. Like, if you listen to him speak, like he has been, like training for this his whole life. He's like, you would think that he has never had the taste of alcohol in his breath or like anything. Like he is, he just seems like super clean. Like, he's just like incredible, the ultimate professional, I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
Not that alcohol is bad or anything. It's just like, he just comes off as like, super like innocent.
Yeah. He comes from a family of professionals, so
yeah.
it makes
his dad,
sense.
Ed McCaffrey. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a long-time wide receiver in the NFL. So,
yeah. Which would explain his receiving prowess as a running back, McCaffrey.
Yeah, he's awesome to watch, dude.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's on the Niners. He's a player that I would have wanted back then, but it didn't make sense in terms of roster building. But I think it would have made a lot more sense than having Solomon Thomas. But I digress. I would have much rather had Patrick Mahomes at that time. But
yeah. So is it time for my number 3?
Yeah.
Nick Bosa.
All right.
Yeah. Did you think he wouldn't be on my list?
I'm kind of shocked that he is. But I mean, give me your reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's the fact that I talked about Devontae Adams being, if not the best, definitely in the conversation of being the best wide receiver in football. The same goes for Nick Bosa at defensive end. I think that TJ Watt gets a lot of that talk, and I think that Myles Garrett gets a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a guy like Max Crosby deserves some of that, but I think Nick Bosa is a fucking wrecking ball. Just, he's unstoppable. I don't think there's an offensive tackle in football, maybe Trent Williams, that can actually stop him one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I know Trent Williams can.
Yeah, I should say definitely not consistently. Not any offensive tackle. So watching Nick Bosa, he's one of those players, and to me, my top 3 choices are, he's one of those players where you just have to sit back and go, like, that's special, and I can admire that, like that's just how good he is, and these players are. I'm not the craziest about like his personality and stuff, but I also do. I was listening to a podcast recently, and I heard that he and his brother just go to like a local park that they live near, and they just train there every day. Yeah, and I had never heard that before, and I was like, that's hilarious and awesome. Because like, imagine being a kid living there, and it's like, oh, Teddy's on the swings again. And then you look over, it's like, oh, there's Joey and Nick Bosa again, fucking throwing tires across the field.
So you're not crazy about his personality? It hurts my feelings, Mike.
It's less that, because I think that's kind of hilarious. Because that's the definition of him being just a complete fucking meathead. But like, even though he's a meathead, he's like so fucking technical, and at the same time, like, built to just dominate people.
Dude, like, he is built.
Yeah. So it's it's just a genuine pleasure to watch him play football because he's that good. And I'd say he should be on a Hall of Fame path.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But nothing like that is a sure thing. He's definitely, as of right now, on that trajectory.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is George Kittle. And I really appreciate what George Kittle has done, since he's been on the 49ers. Like, it was just awesome to watch him like grow into this, from this late round draft pick to he's the celebrity of the team now. And he's got a fun and funny at times personality. Like, he's always goofing around and everything, and his teammates have described him as like wild, and some people don't really care for that, and I understand that. I mean, there's some points where I'm like, maybe he should take it a little bit more seriously, which is why maybe I didn't put him higher. But like, dude, I just love the way he plays. When he's on the field, as a former lineman myself, I love the way he blocks. Like, it's almost like having an extra tackle out there. Like, I mean, it's completely different. He's still a tight end, but dude, like, he knows how to block, and he finishes blocks. And then not only that, like, he's a great, passing game threat. And I think it's just been awesome to watch him on this team, like, for the past couple of years. So
Yeah.
I will forever be grateful for his contributions.
Absolutely. And I can't blame you.
Yeah.
So now my number 2.
Your number 2?
My number 2 favorite Niner. I feel like you have a good idea of probably one of the guys that I'm going to say, right?
Well, I have a feeling that one of these next 2 is going to be George Kittle.
Okay. Interesting. My number 2 is Christian McCaffrey.
All right.
And I mean, this is like one of those outside looking in things. Like, for you, having Christian McCaffrey lower than 2 makes sense because he's only been on the team for a year,
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, as a Niner fan, it's like, oh man, I enjoy the shit out of McCaffrey, but I have probably more of a developed care and appreciation towards a George Kittle and some of these other guys, But McCaffrey's been in the league for a while, and just, I mean, again, we're both fantasy football players, so a lot of the times I see his highlights, but sometimes I just see his stats and I'm like, fuck, this dude is him, And then he comes to the Niners.
I'm him. No, it's I'm here.
I'm here. Yeah. Oh, dude. Then McCaffrey comes to the Niners, and maybe it wasn't his first game, but I think it might have been his second game. It was against the Rams, I think. He runs for a touchdown, he catches a touchdown, and he passes a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Like, this dude, and I'm not expecting him to throw many touchdowns, but, like, he fucking can.
He can do
That's
it
the
all.
point. He's just, it's insane. Another player, again, these top 3 guys for me are just players that I'm like, I just appreciate watching them as football players. But also, like you mentioned, his personality is top notch, for an athlete.
Well, I mean, not necessarily his personality is top notch, but his professionalism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that, yeah, because I was going to say, like, there's not really a perfect personality to have, but yes, that, in that way to put it, yes, his professionalism is, like, perfect.
It's top tier.
Yeah.
Second to probably none. So that was your number 2. It's my turn to give my number 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So my number 2 is gonna be Nick Bosa. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going Nick Bosa with my second favorite Niner. Nick Bosa just like, I know I mentioned Fred Warner earlier, how it's like just a joy to like watch him run all over the field. Nick Bosa just takes that to a whole nother level. I feel like for me, like he is just relentless on the pass rush. He always comes into camp healthy and in shape. I never question whether or not that, he's going to regress or anything. I always think that he's going to come as good, if not better than the season prior. And, it's just to see the way that he gets after the quarterback is, incredible. And he's a pass rusher that the 49ers haven't had for like a very long time. And it has been, it's just fun to watch. And then like he'll sack a quarterback, he'll get up, and, he's just like, well, I don't know, like it's
just a typical Sunday.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
It's like, nah, dude. I think he's honestly hilarious. Like, there's he doesn't say a lot, but he speaks his mind, and I don't think he's like afraid to really, do anything. Like, he's a he's an alpha, and like one of the memories that I kind of have of him that just like kind of makes me crack up was when the Niners were practicing at a local high school against the Green Bay Packers for the playoffs. The divisional round when it was like going to be all snowing and everything. Or that might have been wild card. No, it was divisional. It was divisional. In 2021, and Nick Bosa like fucking, he just started taking a piss. Like, he didn't go to the bathroom. He's like at practice and just starts like fucking, pissing in a corner. And it just like, that's something that like, it's hilarious, dude. Cause it's just him. And like people were upset about it, but it's like, dude, it's just like when you gotta go, you gotta go. And if there's no bathrooms, like, I mean, maybe it's not that funny to some people, but like to me, it's just hilarious. Like he gives no shits. Like, oh, they're welcoming us into this high school. Yeah, I'm just gonna piss in their bushes.
Yeah. Again, he's a total meathead.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. Like he, he's just. I just love watching him play.
Yep. So, Josh, my number one.
Well, should I try and guess it?
Yeah.
Okay, so your five have been
Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, Christian McCaffrey. Number one is who?
It's not Fred Warner.
All right, yeah, no, it's not.
Is it? No, it's not Trent Williams. Is it Trent Williams?
No, it's George Kittle.
Oh, duh, dude.
Yeah, come on.
Oh my god, I thought you said Kittle already for whatever reason because I forgot that you said McCaffrey. Yeah, I said one of your next two is going to be George Kittle. I know that.
Yeah, and I said interesting, trying to throw you off.
Yeah, it's 104 right now, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. George Kittle, dude. Sorry. No, it's not your fault. Shit. George Kittle, dude. I think I have a thing for tight ends because a tight end is kind of the reason that I'm a football fan. And I just think like versatility has kind of been the thing in this podcast that we've talked about. And I think tight ends are one of the most versatile positions because if they're great, like George Kittle, if they're all around like George Kittle, they'll line up on the end of the line and they'll fucking block, and they will block good, or
the good tight ends will block good.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if they're all around and great, like George Kittle. But they will also be able to split out or from on the outside of the line run a route, catch the ball, run through two guys, stiff arm a third guy on fourth down, and carry another guy on his back, and like do everything he can. Like these dudes just fucking, they just live, breathe, sleep football. Like tight ends are hilarious to me. But George Kittle, his personality is hilarious, and the way he plays on the field is not hilarious. Like it is some of the meanest football. But then, once the play's over and the whistle's blown, he's just like a fucking teddy bear with a pull string with jokes. Like I don't know how to describe him. It's just
Well, even during the play, like he'll pancake someone, and then yeah, he'll just he'll be laughing
yeah,
while pancaking someone.
yeah. But I really do wholeheartedly believe that the past couple years he hasn't been perfectly healthy, but my statement would be that when healthy, he is one of the top 10 players in football, period. And I appreciate watching him. Um, yeah, the way that he blocks, the way that he's full intensity every single play, um, the way that he can go out there and catch a one-handed catch, fucking run through three different guys. It doesn't matter if you're a linebacker. He might run through a defensive lineman. Like, I wouldn't put it past him. He probably has. You know, he's a, I mean, I wouldn't say he's a do-it-all tight end. Like, it's not like he's super fast, but you get the ball in his hands and he's going in a straight line. He's running, you know. But I wouldn't want to be the guy that has to stand there and take the hit from him, because he's going to do everything he can to get through that guy.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he plays like a wrestler. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's exactly how he fucking plays.
Yes.
And it's hella cool. Like, it's awesome. He really embraces that.
Mm-hmm.
You said you have him, if he's healthy, as a top 10 player in the NFL.
Yep.
Do you also have Travis Kelce there?
No, because Travis Kelce isn't the blocker that George Kittle is. I think that when George Kittle is healthy, he is the best tight end in football, because I think he can do the physical things that Kelce can. Maybe where Kelce differs is that Kelce is more cerebral, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that he seems to know every gaping hole
in the defense.
in a zone in a defense. Yeah, he will find it, and he will use that to his and Patrick Mahomes' advantage. And he's a fucking exceptional pass catcher, Travis Kelce, and a great route runner, But I just think the things that George Kittle can do, George Kittle can do those things in the zone. I don't think he does it nearly as much as Kelce, but I think he can. So that points me in Kittle's direction,
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's I know it's super late. You got work in the morning. You probably know my number one.
I'm worried that I know your number one.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you're worried. And I mean, this is going to be crazy. This is going to sound absolutely insane to a lot of people, to a lot of Niner fans. Because I would say that even probably supporters of this player, I mean, maybe they're not his favorite. He's not one of their favorite players. I'm going with Trey Lance, and here's my reason why. I'm in love with the mystery of this kid. It's the mystery box. I know what every other player on the 49ers can give me. The 49ers, like we mentioned earlier, they traded up for this kid, and they still haven't really given him that real opportunity. They ran him into the ground, and what I really like is that he he always seems to be working really hard, and he's been working really hard all off season to perfect his mechanics. Uh, and the players and the coaches say that Trey is the best that he's ever looked. He's made a significant jump. I think it's very admirable that even when he's not getting supported, and the team has essentially turned their back on him, that he still embraces the 49ers and hasn't turned his back on them. And I think he's gifted physically. And clearly the 49ers thought he was also gifted physically. And I've been waiting since they drafted him for him to really get a chance. I really think that he will be good. And, it'll take some time. But if you give him some time to develop, if you just give Lance a chance, I really think that he can show that he's special.
That's a slogan right there. Give Lance a chance.
Yeah, or let Lance dance. But I mean, I really like his personality. Like he's even interesting. Like when it comes to like the press conferences. And yeah, I think that aside from I guess there was a video of him making it rain on like a girl giving him a lap dance. Like, I mean, that's his personal life. I'm sure all these NFL players are doing the same thing. They're just like, don't have friends that are recording them constantly. He's young, he's figuring it out. Like, I think, it's just, it's the vibe that I get from him. He's younger than me. That's what's crazy. Everybody else on this list is older than me. And then Lance, number one, I don't know. He's just, there's something about him. And like I said, my list is prone to change. And maybe he won't be my favorite, coming up. And I think it's fair game to talk about some honorable mentions.
Did you say Trey Lance was at a club and he's younger than you? Throwing money at strippers. Sorry.
No. I'm just, like I said, I'm in love with the mystery. So I've been for 2 years really just excited to see what he can do. And I don't feel like I've ever gotten that. And it's been driving me crazy. And so I guess he's my favorite because he's the one that I'm most excited to learn about.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely understand your feeling. And I honestly respect that you can put it out there that he's your favorite player, because you have such strong feelings towards the mystery of Trey Lance, essentially. And the reason why I can identify with that is because I remember when Derek Carr was drafted, the hope and desire for him to be the best thing ever was insane, because I was in 2014. I was maybe a freshman in high school. I don't know. No, I was in high school. I was like a sophomore or junior. But anyways, like as a Raider fan, until Derek Carr, I've never seen a great quarterback, like a top 5 in the league quarterback, play for the Raiders. And I was hoping so desperately for that to be Derek Carr. And sometimes I think I would root for him, and I think a lot of fans for Derek Carr now, still, and maybe until this year, were rooting so hard for him that he was, this, I don't know how to exactly describe it, but he was their favorite player, and they were just blind to the things that he was doing wrong. And I'm not trying to make this a negative thing about what you're saying. I've been there. Like I
Mhm.
was like all in on Derek Carr, and I was like, he's gonna be great. He's gonna be great. Yada yada yada. I'm not trying to make this into a negative. I swear. Um, I get the feeling, and it gets to the point where it's like that's all that matters. Essentially, not that's all that matters, but it gets to the point where it's like I almost need this player to be great because he is my favorite, and if he is great, he will take us to massive heights.
Mhm.
You know, so
I
I
think
get the feeling.
all right. I really want him to succeed because I think it's in the Niners' best interest. If they throw him out there and he shows no improvement over just like give him like 8 games, shows no improvement. I know it's really hard to find 8 games to just throw away in the NFL. I understand that. But why the hell would you draft him in the first place with 3 first round picks? I mean, I'm just going to keep saying it. That's what they did. You know, you got me a jersey. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The Yorks made hell of fucking money off this kid, and I mean, they're just gonna bury him after 4 games. Like, come on, like,
Yeah.
and then I guess like I've already kind of said what I wanted to say about Lance. It's like if he to me gets I think the chance that I feel he's earned or is earning right now by the hard work that he's put in, and that like all the players are saying he's the best that he's looked. If he uh just goes out there and is not it, after like, I say eight games is fair. Or if he just sucks throughout like 5 games, 4 games, and there's no hope for him, then one will learn 2 things. Shanahan's offense isn't necessarily quarterback friendly to everybody. And then 2, we will have found out Trey Lance is the biggest bust in NFL history. Um, and I will be the first person to say, you know what? He's just not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with the way that things currently have been constructed and all the circumstances that I take into account when thinking about this situation, it's not just black or white whether he's good or not. It's literally he has not been given a chance, and they need to let him dance.
There you go. I was gonna say one last thing about Trey Lance, as far as like how I kind of can see and feel similar to you. Um, Trey Lance as a prospect is almost exactly what I hope the Raiders eventually go for. You know, I've been saying for years now that I want the Raiders to draft a quarterback. I don't care how high in the first round. Probably has to be a top 5 pick. I want them to draft a guy that is essentially the perfect mix, and this is in a perfect world, but something close to the perfect mix between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Maybe throw in a little Patrick Mahomes, right? If you
Mhm.
give me somebody who you can say is a mix of at least 2 of those guys, that's what I think the Raiders need. And if you look at the prospect of Trey Lance, he is one of those guys, right?
Mhm.
He came in exceptionally raw with not much playing time, super young. It was going to take time. And maybe this year or next year, Shanahan pulls it out and he was a genius this whole time. But I, him being on this rookie contract, if he does prove it and he does become the guy, he's going to earn himself so much money. It's going to be like Jimmy Garoppolo all over again, where it's like, wow, 5 games. maybe hopefully a full season or a season and a half or 2 seasons, but still, wow, we only got that long of him on a cheap contract. Now we have to pay him top dollar, yada yada yada. But at least hopefully he'll become that guy. But now that you guys have Purdy in the way, it's going to be tough. But I think the opportunity is there for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's one thing I will say: the issue is not about paying quarterbacks. I think the issue is about paying the wrong quarterbacks money. And if Trey Lance ends out proving that he is in the Mahomes, the Jalen Hurts, the Lamar Jackson, the Josh Allen tier, he'll be worth every penny if they pay him.
Yeah.
But let's just say he's a step ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo and they fucking pay him top dollar. Like, I'm sorry, but like, that to me is stupid. And he won't be a franchise guy if that's all he's ever going to be.
Yeah. I should clarify. I said I've always, or not always, but I've been wanting a quarterback that's the perfect mix of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. That guy is Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles got him in the second round. If the Raiders ever got a quarterback like Jalen Hurts in the second round, you would never hear the end of it. Not you specifically, but just everybody. Like, that's such a huge win for a team. They almost won the championship, Super Bowl.
Yeah. And then that's another thing. Trey Lance's numbers are almost identical, just a little bit better than Jalen Hurts' numbers in their first 4 starts. So the Eagles could have just said, you know what? We're giving up. We're giving up on Jalen Hurts. He's not the guy. And they could have just struggled to find another quarterback for another couple of years. But now they have a guy that they are confident can run the franchise for at least another couple of years. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback, like he's going to last that long. But as long as he's athletic, he's going to be tough for defenses to hold down.
I look at I just spoiled it. I look at Jalen Hurts like a upgrade to Russell Wilson in his prime. But look at Russell Wilson now. Like, now that he's not the mobile, sack evading quarterback, he's fallen off. I can see some of that for Jalen Hurts, but I don't know, man. I think Jalen Hurts is better, than Russell Wilson at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts is clearly better than Russell Wilson at this point. Also, my AirPods are low, so
yeah, we'll get this going. Also, another thing, like, for Trey Lance is look at Josh Allen. Those first 2 years, it was like, I don't know, and then all of a sudden, boom! Like, I could see that for Trey Lance. So, quick honorable mentions: Trent Williams and I hope I say this right, Talanoa Funga.
Oh yeah,
those are my honorable mentions.
They're both honorable mentions for me as well.
And then also, you were gonna say something about Debo.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. So you were saying how you admire Debo. I left Debo off my list. I like Debo, and he's one of my top 10 favorite players on the team, but I just can't put him in top 5 right now because part of me is still kind of salty the way the last offseason kind of went and how the season kind of went with Debo. Because he was holding out with the team similar to what Jacobs is doing right now, and he wanted to be traded, and then he was kind of throwing this fit over his contract, and he got paid big time, and I personally feel like you can replace receivers. But Debo's like one of those one of a kind versatile players. So like I kind of understand that, but I mean he got fucking paid, and he was just not ready this year. Like, he had a couple games where he flashed, but he wasn't like in 2021. Like, I feel like he kind of came out of shape, and I think Debo kind of admitted that he won't ever put like stuff like that on film again. So it's not just me saying that about Debo; it's Debo also like admitting that he didn't meet his standards. So
Yeah. I think the interesting thing about Debo and what you just said is like in 2021, he proved how irreplaceable he is. And then in 2022, he proved how replaceable he is. You know?
mm-hmm. Oh, with
It's weird.
McCaffrey.
Well, yeah, but also like okay, Debo is a kind of a running back in a wide receiver's body, or maybe I should put that the other way around, but I'm too tired. But if you you don't even have to take that away. Just like, is he a special route runner? I don't think so. Is he a great pass catcher? I don't think he's the best in the world, but he's good. Obviously, he's a great wide receiver. But I don't know. I don't think he does anything other than being able to run the ball out of the backfield. That's like, oh my God, he is so special as a wide receiver. It's more of like he brings something different to the position. Bless you. But I didn't
Didn't
hear.
happen. No. No. I mean, I will say that Debo's a pretty good route, like wide receiver, in terms of like route running and stuff. He drops a lot of balls. So I won't say that he's like really good. He's pretty good when it comes to, what I just said. But when you give Debo Samuel the ball in open space, there's no player that I would rather have the ball in their hands. When he gets the ball, he'll run over people. He's just so hard to tackle. He plays like a real life Debo, like from Friday.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
Honorable mentions. Another one I just wanted to say, Brock Purdy. I just cut him out of the top 5.
That's right.
So I'm not only a Trey Lance guy. I don't want anybody to just think that I don't like Purdy. I really like Purdy. I like his personality. He's very humble. I love Purdy, and his story. You really can't make a better story than well, I guess if he would have won the Super Bowl, but his story still was just like magnificent, and he was an honor to watch, and I look forward to seeing how his career moves forward from just the successful season that he had.
Yeah, I think I remember us kind of vaguely talking about the idea of this topic for a show. And I remember you saying that you thought you were going to have both quarterbacks in your top 5.
I thought about it. Yeah, and so I kind of went back and forth on a couple players, and I ended up with, I was like, I kind of feel like I have to have Fred Warner on there. And then, like, honestly, there was a point in time where I didn't have Kittle on my list, but I was like, nah, you know what? I really do appreciate like what Kittle did. You know what I mean? And I felt like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, making a list like this is really tough. I stand by what I said about the players, and I'm willing to support both quarterbacks going forward, and both of them still, even if Purdy's not in my top 5 favorite, both of them are some of my favorite players on the team. Some of my favorite players in the NFL period. So, and I think there was one more honorable mention for my favorites, and I think we said Trent Williams already. Brandon Ayuk. I like Ayuk.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think he's a great route runner.